Atlanta News First Alert meteorologist JD Disharoon here with a weather update on our First Alert weather day for tonight and into tomorrow. This is really going to be during the pre-dawn hours as you make your way into your Sunday with showers and storms. In advance of that, though, we got to tell the story about the temperatures that are happening today because they do really kind of affect the story overnight. We do have a wedge that's built in to the northeastern part of the state, nowhere near as powerful of a wedge as what we saw earlier this week. Remember then, we saw that thing extending all the way down to the LaGrange and in towards the Albany area. Today, barely making it towards Atlanta, but you can see the difference in the temperatures with Atlanta at 50, but LaGrange at almost 60 degrees. Meanwhile, Gainesville at 43, Athens at 44, and Covington at 47. So it's going to be basically a test of wills between the warmer air and the storms off to the west and this cooler air that's in place across the region. So we're going to have to watch that during the overnight hours. Tonight, though, I think we are going to warm up. And I think here in the city and especially the western and southern suburbs, we're going to see those temperatures really start to increase as we head towards the midnight hour. Now, we are going to see storms move in as we head towards about 3 o'clock in the morning. There is the potential for severe weather with that as well. You can see that basically a line from Rome to Douglasville to Griffin, and to the west, including our counties in Alabama. We do have a level 2 of 5 for severe weather tonight. The rest of the viewing area, for the most part, is under a level 1 risk. So almost everyone has that potential to see severe weather with this line of showers and storms that are going to be moving through. Now, the threats that we're going to be looking for overnight are going to be strong, damaging straight-line winds and the possibility of an isolated tornado with this line of storms that is set to move through. Now, let's go ahead and get to the timing on that. And you can see by midnight, not much is happening. But by 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, that line of storms will start to enter West Georgia and then over in towards Anniston and Wedowee, Alabama. Notice the temperatures at 4 a.m. You know, I just showed you. We're in the 40s and 50s right now for the most part. By 4 a.m., we've risen. I think that wedge is going to start to break up for a lot of us. Maybe not Blairsville and Dawsonville and up in the North Georgia mountains, but Calhoun 62, Atlanta 61 by 4 a.m., 63 in Thomaston, even Athens back up to 57. And that line will start to move through between 3 and 7 o'clock in the morning. As it does so, that's the potential for the severe weather because really once this line moves through, and it will move through rather quickly, temperatures are going to begin to drop, and it's going to be very blustery throughout the day. So notice by 6 a.m., we're talking Covington, Athens, on up towards Clemson, South Carolina, and then by 7, 8 o'clock, most of this is out of the area. But look at our temperatures. 9 a.m. Sunday in Atlanta, 54 degrees. Watch what happens as we go throughout the day. By noon, 48. By 5 o'clock in the evening, 39. So really our high temperature tomorrow is going to be as you wake up in the morning with these storms moving through because this cold front is strong enough that as we go throughout the day, the temperatures are just going to plummet as we head into the evening hours and overnight. And it's going to lead to a very hard freeze for a lot of folks as we make our way into Monday morning. In fact, here in the Atlanta area, inside that heat dome, so to speak, where we see the warmest temperatures in North Georgia, you know, we're talking 29 degrees, but we're going to be seeing mid-20s by Monday morning for a lot of folks in North Georgia and struggling to get out of the 40s by Monday afternoon. Now, I think Tuesday is going to be a little bit warmer. A little bit more cloud cover than moving in advance of our next system. But here's that next system on Wednesday. You know, we kind of like to talk in terms of, you know, systems. Let's get one out of the way before we talk about the other because it gives the models a chance to kind of readjust. But as of right now, I think most of us on Wednesday are going to see rain. Emphasis on most of us. We're going to have to keep an eye out because this is a first alert weather day for the northern tier of the state, including our mountain counties, maybe portions of the North Metro. Notice by 6 a.m. Wednesday morning, a little bit of pink on the map. This is the European model. I would like to emphasize the American model actually has this a little farther to the north, just outside of our viewing area. So still way too early to tell, but kind of want to raise the alarm because I know a lot of you have seen this on social media. But as we go throughout the day on Wednesday, notice almost everyone stays in rain. This is not going to be a big snow event like we saw earlier in January. What this is going to be one of those events that kind of grazes us. But notice by the time we get into the afternoon, almost all rain. So for those of you who love the snow, I'm kind of bursting your bubble here, but I also just kind of want to temper your expectations because this is not going to be a big snow event for the North Georgia area. If you're heading up to Tennessee, northern Alabama, North Carolina, it could be. You know, we'll have to wait and see. Our best chance to see any of those fat flakes are going to be in the form of flurries late Wednesday night as this system starts to pull up and the colder air starts to rush on in. So, you know, obviously, Again, I want to get this system out of the way overnight to give the models a better chance to readjust and recalibrate before we get to Wednesday. But as of right now, this is kind of looking like a big nothing burger for North Georgia. However, the key emphasis I want to let you know is we're still 4 or 5 days out from this. This is the time where we're still looking at the overall pattern. And the overall pattern tells us the cold air is close enough. If it sinks any closer to the south, that could cause some interesting issues for us. But as of right now, it doesn't quite look like that. But you can definitely bet the First Alert weather team is going to be keeping an eye on both of these systems as we go through the overnight hours. And we will definitely be keeping an eye on that second system as we go through the back half of next week. So, it's definitely looking to be an interesting weather pattern, and we'll just kind of have to keep our eye on it. But for the most part, that's your weather forecast. We're going to toss it over to the news with Joylem Nagram.
Thank you so much, JD. Okay, so yeah, we're definitely going to be using our app and trying to follow along with what's happening weather-wise. Thank you so much for that. I also do want to let you know, in terms of our news headlines, that there are a number of shootings that are under investigation right now in Atlanta. Very, very busy night for police overnight. Violence really in several places in the city. So there are investigations now underway in Midtown, in downtown, and in southwest Atlanta. Atlanta News First reporter Blake Devine has more from Midtown.
A night filled with violence throughout the metro as 5 people were shot and injured during 3 separate shootings. We're here in Midtown looking at the 14th Street ATL Exotic Hookah Lounge, where there was a shooting last night as gunshots rang in the air around 1:45 in the morning as 3 people were shot over an apparent parking dispute. We spotted bullet shell casings as police surveyed this scene for several hours. All 3 of the people who were shot were taken to Grady Memorial Hospital, where they are in stable condition. Not long after this, though, there was another shooting, this one in downtown Atlanta at a nightclub on Trinity Avenue, not far from the Garnet MARTA station. 1 person was shot and is also in stable condition at Grady Hospital. Then this drive-by shooting at a home in southwest Atlanta. 2 cars pulled up and started shooting at a house on Meadow Lane Circle as a boy inside the home was grazed by a bullet. He's now recovering in the hospital as well. None of these incidents were related, although it was a busy night for the Atlanta Police Department. Reporting in Midtown, Blake Devine, Atlanta News First.
And also making headlines this afternoon, massive job cuts at the Atlanta-based CDC. The agency's set to cut nearly 1/10 of its workforce as the Trump administration's efforts to downsize the federal government are underway. Atlanta News First Adam Murphy has more and says the decision is really raising a red flag among lawmakers and business owners here in Metro Atlanta.
There is a sense of uncertainty outside the CDC headquarters on Clifton Road in Atlanta. According to the Associated Press, nearly 1,300 probationary employees making up roughly 1/10 of the agency's workforce will soon be cut. Georgia Congressman John Ossoff blasted the decision.
If this administration guts and gags the CDC, who's going to defend the nation from Ebola? Who's going to protect kids from measles? Who's going to save us from TB?
The pending layoffs also have area businesses concerned about the impact it could have on their bottom lines.
Maybe 70 to 80% of our customers is from CDC, and the rest are maybe from people who are around, who have friends who live around this area.
Many of the restaurants across the street from the CDC in Atlanta went out of business during the COVID pandemic and never reopened. As for the affected CDC employees, they are supposed to receive 4 weeks of paid administrative leave, although it's still unclear how many of them impacted work here at the headquarters in Atlanta.
After all, look what the CDC has accomplished over the past 80 years because the centers have been well funded.
Adam Murphy, Atlanta News First.
And also making headlines, look at this. A beloved family pet now barely able to walk after a very traumatic trip to a dog groomer. Atlanta News First reporter Josh Skinner spoke with the owner who says his dog was seriously injured.
Malcolm Green noticed something was wrong immediately.
Like his back legs would just drop, like his whole back would drop.
During a trip to Don's Doggy Day Spa in Stonecrest on Wednesday, his French bulldog, Duce, lost the use of his back legs.
My dog was just like a whole nother dog. He wasn't even walking, like he was in pain. Like I didn't know what was going on, man. Like I was scared for him.
When Duce's condition did not improve by Thursday morning, Green's family went back to Don's and watched security footage, clearly showing here Duce walking around fine. Other video, which is grainy, shows two people working on Duce, but not exactly what happened. However, when confronted with Duce's injury and surveillance video, Green says the owner agreed to pay the initial vet bills, including asking Green to sign this handwritten note. When Duce got to McDonough Animal Hospital on Thursday, doctors told Green time was critical.
They told me that he needed to go into immediate surgery, like ASAP.
Duce was diagnosed with a severe spine injury and might never again regain the use of his legs. Spinal surgery could cost up to $13,000.
It's been hard for me to sleep. Like, I'm just worried about my dog, man. I just want to get my dog well.
There are other alternatives that Green is not willing to consider because you can't put a price on family.
I don't have no kids, so, I look at him like my own child, like he's my son.
That was Josh Skinner reporting there. The Green family is considering legal action against Don's Doggy Day Spa. They also filed a police report with the DeKalb County Police. They are awaiting a response to that. We did reach out to Don's yesterday afternoon about the allegations. We were told no comment, and then we were hung up on as well. Of course, we're going to keep you up to date with any new developments on this story. JD Disharoon also warned you about the forecast. We got a first alert weather day tomorrow with storms moving through overnight and another first alert weather day on Wednesday. You can find all the latest on that on atlantanewsfirst.com, as well as our free mobile news app, and you can sign up to get alerts sent right to your phone. Thanks for joining us. Now back to Local News Live.